Wits and Brains here with Casey and Catherine, and we're talking about trying not to laugh when you fall. The other person. Let's talk about that, Casey. What comes to mind?
Oh, so many things. So first, there's karma.
There is, and that's what made me think about this. Maybe I was doing a little self-reflection because
Possibly.
last year I had someone who, was behind my back saying some not so sweet things, which that doesn't bother me, but this was at a new all-time level of uncool. And they, of course, mean people, things happen to mean people.
Yeah.
And so they failed at something and it was very public. And I'm just going to say on LinkedIn, I said, hey, congratulations on something good that had happened.
Mhm.
And that was some that was not easy because I wanted to say nanner, nanner, nanner. So,
Yeah.
so sometimes people fall, and we have to, as grown up business people, act like grown ups and behave.
Yeah, and it's really hard. I think especially when you evaluate, like you said, the level of betrayal, like as an entrepreneur, I mean, in previous conversations we've talked about being vulnerable, but it takes a really, really thick skin to be an entrepreneur, and you have to let those things roll off. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think when you look at things that are like crazy, just mean,
yeah,
it's really
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
So when you think about betrayal, like what comes to mind? Because like initially when I was thinking about that, I'm thinking like betrayal between employees. But then I started, of course, looking at all the different things. So what comes to mind for you?
Well, in my head, it was people doing or saying things about me, or even worse, my company.
Mhm.
And if any of it was true, that would be a less of a sting. But I had a person who was out and out lying and then using some of my ideas to act as their own. That's not as
Nice.
bad. A couple years ago, so I have two people in my head that I will never become friends with.
Mhm.
One is a predator. I don't like him. I'm not going to pretend like I like him just because everybody else does. And one is an older lady that I thought was a friend and wasn't. And
Mhm.
it was ugly behind
Yeah.
my back.
Yeah.
But other people, what? Like, I don't know. I've had people make fun of my accent. I've had people do all kinds of things. That doesn't sting. And I can overlook that, like what we're talking about. If that type of person falls or whatever, I'm not out to kill you. And honestly, I can become your friend. I just had that happen 2 weeks ago, that I became a friend of someone that was kind of ugly to me. I don't know. It didn't hurt me. Maybe I
How
just don't
about
care.
that?
Yeah. So honestly, in business, if you can do that, it is capital letters, bold, a superpower.
Yes.
The best way to change people's minds, and use this in other things, like probably use it in marketing. I don't know. That's your expertise, but to change people's minds is to take an enemy, whatever that looks like, and turn them into a friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Believers is what I call them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, make them a believer. A
Believe
believer
that,
in you.
yes, believe what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I can do. Please believe, please believe. I have a whole leadership motivation presentation that I just did at a Rotary, and I talked about building trust and stuff like that. And then that motivates employees to do what you want them to do. It motivates people to buy your product, motivates yourself to lose those, 10 pounds you want to lose, whatever. So it
Yeah.
works in various areas.
Yeah.
So,
So speaking of various areas, so like as an entrepreneur, we have to look at betrayal amongst our employees or contractors. We
yes.
have to look out for betrayal between employees and, one another or contractors and one another.
Hmm.
We have to look out for partnerships that we develop, for vendors that we deal with.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what are some other areas? Because I'm thinking, like, holy moly, you want to talk about vulnerability? Like,
Yeah.
we place a lot of trust into people in order to make our business run.
Yes. I mean, even let's talk about this. Even our clients. Like
Yeah.
I am entrusting Susie Q to do whatever I say.
Mhm.
I've come up with a list, I've come up with a program, a plan. Susie Q doesn't do it. It it feels a little bit like betrayal, not as much as it did when I first started. But I mean, I put myself into stuff. I warn new clients, I'm going to become a little obsessed with you.
We know this, Catherine.
So hold on, because I'm going to become a little obsessed. And then let's say, I'm never a perfectionist. So that part's okay. But let's say you go 3 months and you're doing nothing. That's a bummer for me. I like the moving forward.
Yeah, I
So
think
and I love that you mentioned about employees, because that we didn't even hit my head. And I'm telling you, if there's something that people hire me for, that's like one of the main things is from one
yeah.
employee to another or a group. Oh my gosh, department to department.
Mhm. I was actually looking at some different statistics around the topic of betrayal, and there was one that said 83% of people who work in an office environment
Yeah.
experience some sort of betrayal or mistrust because they're so much more intermingled. And
Yeah.
out of that 83%, nearly 70% of companies will not get their culture back to the way it was without the help of an outside professional like yourself. Yeah, like, hey, that's me. So I thought that was fascinating though, like well over 50%. So like, damn near 3 out of 4 companies are going to experience like
Wow.
devastation because some person betrayed another person, whether that was a leader or an employee.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so dirty. It can be
Yeah.
so, I've had phone calls and they'll say, "Hey, got a culture problem." Okay. And then they'll say, "Okay, you think like 3 months?" Well, if I could,
Let
then
me
I
wave my
would
wand.
be a multi-bazillionaire, because no, probably like 3 years. I mean, I tell people 2 years if you really want it done right. First of all, I'm stepping in. Oh my gosh, it's the outside consultant. So
Yeah.
that must mean, the worst person in the world's walking in. So I have to get the trust before anybody's going to do anything. And now the hardest part is I have to build these departments to trust each other. And one of the easiest ways, well, not easiest, but one of the best ways I do it is I show each department what the other one does, because
I
most
love
people don't
that.
even know.
Yes.
I work with department A, but they're like, oh, honestly, I've done night shift work. I was a custodian, did night shift. And when you're there, people are like, oh, all those night janitors are so lazy. And then I moved to the day shift. Oh, all those day shift people are so lazy. And I remember saying, I haven't been lazy anywhere. I haven't had anything easy. So I don't know where people are seeing this, but that's part of it. It's betrayal.
Yeah. So
So,
even in my position, so I'm not really working with culture directly. However, one of our, services is that we align marketing, sales, and service. And the stigma that is already there between marketing and sales is ridiculous. So to add any type of betrayal on that, like, makes me want to pull my hair out, because marketing is like, okay, we're bringing in the stuff, and if sales isn't picking that up and closing it, marketing's looking at sales like, what are you doing? And then sales is looking at marketing like, we need more, what are you doing? So there's this complete disconnect. And when we can put in like the processes and the systems to make them more cohesive, it's great. But then if you add that extra layer of betrayal on because someone isn't getting it, it's rough.
Yeah. So I love, like, I'm loving what you added there, because like I work with sales departments and I have heard that vocalized.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying A, B, and C, but marketing this, this, and this. And one of the things that I've done is, okay, let's see what marketing does during the day. And then they're kind of surprised with, oh, or everybody's surprised, like, we have had the same vision, but we didn't know that the other one had the same vision. Yes. Oh, who would have known this? We would have done this. So, wow, communication, wouldn't that be amazing?
I was literally just about to say that, because talk about vision, a lot of times, like, even especially between a client relationship. So for example, let's say in my business, I'm doing something for a client. Actually, you know what? I'll give you an example of something that actually happened to me. Yeah. So a lot of times we do about 30 posts a month for our clients. So when we do these social calendars, let's just say we charge $2,000 for 30 posts, to keep it simple. Another company might charge $500. So I'll have a client come to me and say, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You are like completely taking advantage of me, because you're charging me 4 times the amount that this other company is. And they might have already come to this conclusion, but they never came to me and said, hey, I've heard this. Can you help me understand the difference? Yeah. Because I will bet you $2,000 that the $500 company is not doing things the same way that the $2,000 company is. No,
they're not. I'm in the same boat, because I'm not where I started. So I have a whole programs in place. I have, things set up. And so, talking about fees, since we're just being honest, I have a 1,500 and I have a 3K. Now I can tell you there's a lot of 3Ks. There's a lot of $3,000 consultants, coaches, whatever you want to title. But someone will hear about the $150 person. Well, maybe the person's just starting out. So I don't have any judgments, but that is what you'll get. That is what you'll get. So same thing that you just talked about happened. And they're like, oh my gosh, this 3K is whatever. And I'm like, first of all, you practically own me. I mean, you're never going to get this like relationship with anybody that's half sane. But so it's like,
there's that component. Sanity.
I'm exhausted. We're both exhausted, but I can tell you in 6 months, they own the world because we have worked. So it's that. It's that. But it is, it feels a little icky when someone's like, I don't want to spend that. Okay.
Yeah. Or like another thing that I get where clients feel like I'm betraying them, and I know we're kind of going down a rabbit hole. It's
Oh,
like, well, they charge $40 an hour, and why are you charging $1,000 flat fee? And I'm like, well, I don't like to trade dollars for hours because I've spent decades, finessing my expertise and everything.
yeah,
And two, like the value is so much higher. So that leads me to say that communication is key to,
yeah,
for one, prevent betrayal, both to you and betrayal, or I should say things being perceived as you
yeah,
betraying someone else.
yeah. That hurts a person's feelings,
Yeah.
especially if you have, okay, if you want to do hour by hour, you're not going to like that fee. Because
No.
I think
You won't.
about my clients at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, you know, something pops in, I have to get up, go to my office to write something down because I know this such and such will work or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes, betrayal. So, would I like these people to fail? No, no. And can I become their friend? These people have failed. Yes, do it all the time. I do it all the
Yes.
time. It's a superpower. There's like the social psychology. So psychology has a bazillion different segments to it, but social psychology talks about social interaction. This is what we're talking about right now, the social
Yeah.
interaction. And it said that people that, like, there's a whole boring research study, it's happening right now, but people that want their environment to be stable make their enemies their friends. And maybe the word enemy is too harsh. I don't know, but
Like
th-
opposition as
yes,
yeah.
yeah. And those people, their landscape, their environment, their atmosphere is more balanced. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
And speaking of the psychological components, like when you look at betrayal, so one of the things that I like to make sure that I'm doing, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times, you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, I try to be as proactive as possible about my own mental health, for the
Yes.
mere fact that, like, okay, let's say that, for example, we're working together and you betray me. Let's say that you say some derogatory statements to me, like when we're working together.
Mhm.
Like, not only am I going to have the actual act of you doing that, but let's say that, I am going to talk to someone else about it and they're like, oh my gosh, like get over it, and have no empathy whatsoever. Then that adds a whole nother level
Yeah.
of like emotional distress to the situation. So for me, like when I'm thinking about all these things, and you hear people say, oh, treat others how you want to be treated, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, lead by example. And
Yeah.
not only lead by example by making sure that you're sound, but when someone betrays you, lead by example by the giver's gain. So give them kindness, give them happiness, give them help, whatever,
Yeah.
give it to them, because it's going to come back to you. Or they could be a true ass and still treat you like crap. And you know what? That's on them, not you.
It really is. And on that note, there's a lot of emotions in business. So if they're going to act like that, honest to goodness, they're never going to build trust with anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you have no trust, you have no business.
Yep.
You have no business. I mean, if you want to go around and keep a tally of everyone that treats you bad, well, I mean, what's going to happen, Casey, is you're just going to have a book of tallies. And then you have no business. You have no business. But I can tell you, like us doing this right here, I look forward to this. This is a good thing. I think we have fun with each other. Um, let's say if you didn't like me for a day or two, I am never going to take that and tally
Right.
because I've had too much fun here.
Yeah. And
Hey,
it, go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say the more that people are cordial to people, the
Mhm.
more they make money.
Yeah, and the more you focus on yourself and not other people, the more you make money.
I
Like
mean, I love the idea you just brought up
introspection.
self-care. You brought up
But even
self-care.
yeah. Like introspection though for me is key. Like even if someone betrays me, I look at it and I say, okay, what could I have done differently in that situation to get a different outcome? And
Ooh,
it might have been nothing, but at least I'm asking myself the question because,
right.
I'm humble enough to know that I'm not perfect and that I'm going to make mistakes. And that want to talk about emotions in business, I might have 9,000 of them in one day.
Right.
So who
Right.
knows at what point they call me.
I mean, how grown up is that?
It takes a while to get there.
Yeah, it takes a while to get there. We're obviously not brand newcomers to business or whatever, so that takes a lot. Um, like, like I will never allow you to see my marketing that I had like 15 years ago because I would be so embarrassed for a marketer to see it. But you know what? I thought I was so good. I thought I was brilliant.
We've all been there, myself included. We have all been there. When I look at my first logo, I'm like, what? What was
What
I
does that
doing?
even mean? What was I saying?
Yeah.
Or, some of my presentations or whatever, yeah, I didn't quite have it together. But, I don't know, maybe somebody looked at that and thought that poor woman, and I
Have
don't know.
pity for you.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna betray this lady. I feel sorry for her.
she's a nut. I'm not going to betray her. Poor thing. She can't figure out a logo. She can't figure, oh, my slogan. I can't. Oh, yeah, it's just sad. So it's like, here you are, you mature, people around you have betrayed you. And newsflash, everyone gets betrayed somewhere.
Yeah,
It could
we
just be
do.
on a networking thing. And, I've had people make fun of my accent or whatever. I can tell you it is zero on me. I leave there zero, zero. I don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we just talked about, I said that I made up or forgave a person that betrayed me. I could tell you they were surprised. They were
Yeah.
surprised because they weren't nice. They weren't nice. They were
But
acting like
again,
jerks.
that speaks volumes
Yes,
about you.
yes.
Yes, I'll give you a virtual back.
Well, this was fun today because it's kind of nice starting out the year. Let's start out the year with our brains, with our superpowers, instead of like attacking anyone who has ever been rude to us or said anything or whatever. Let's just say, you know what, people, let's like be friendly. We don't have to be best friends. I don't have to divulge
Yes, I
my
love
life
that.
story to you, but friendly in business.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Be friendly, not necessarily friends.
Not necessarily friends. Because I already
Although friends.
told you there's people I wouldn't be friends with. So I'm not some perfect Saint Halo on my head, but I can definitely be friendly in a room.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and your competitors, be friendly. There's
Yeah,
enough work out there. Enough
yeah,
work. All
yeah.
right. So we talked about trying not to laugh when you fall, but next week, Casey, we are talking about tickle, tickle, tickle. So subscribe to us. Let's have a good year and let's talk about tickle, tickle, tickle for next time.
Looking forward to it.